Hello and welcome back to Fintellect. Today is day 30 of our 21-day series of Understanding Money in 21 Days. And today's episode is about turning financial goals into reality. Now, this episode is very important because it touches something we all go through in our lives. And before we get into this session, I'd like to ask you a question that we all have certain goals in our life, but how many of them have we planned and how many of them have we achieved? Now you see the gap between a goal and a plan is exactly where most of the goals stay just goals. Some of them become plans and then some of them become successful. So you need to fill this gap of turning goal into a successful thing by actually planning that. So when you plan something on the basis of your goals, only then you are going to achieve that in your life. And this is something which you need to understand very seriously because what happens is a goal is a wish and a plan is a decision. So the gap which I'm trying to explain you is that you can wish for something, you can have goal for anything, but to achieve that you need a full-fledged plan. So a goal is I want to buy a house someday, and a plan is ki I want 20 lakhs down payment. I want this in 4 years. So now I need to calculate that I have 48 months, how much money I need to set aside each month. So that comes down to 38,000 every month. And that is how you calculate that minute figures. And then only this turns into a reality. Now, sometimes what happens is a month you might not be able to take out 38,000, but that automation of your goal is eventually going to take you towards the success of that goal. So you need to understand that you need to figure out a plan. Only then and then you can turn your goal into a actual achievement. Now, every financial goals or any goal you have in life that needs three particular things. That is a target, a timeline, and a monthly action. So let's understand what a target is. You can decide that there are examples on the screen, but I'll give you a very simple example. You understand this is day one, and from day one year after 365 days, that is 1 year later, I want 1,20,000 rupees. Now I have a target. The timeline is 365 days. I have 1 year in my hand. So what should be the monthly action? I should take aside 10,000 rupees every month. So after 12 months, I'll have 1,20,000 in my hand. So these three things, when they all come together, when a target is known, when the timeline is known, and the monthly action is taken, it eventually automates itself, and then you see that with this discipline and this all three things lining up, eventually after 365 days, you'll have that 1,20,000 in your hand. So all these three factors are the most important factors to turn a goal into a reality. So simple steps you have to do today is you need to write a goal, you need to give it a number and date. You need to work backwards. Work backwards means in what sense? Like I said, I want 1,20,000 after a year. So you need to calculate how much money I want in every month to be set aside. You calculate that amount, you name that money. So that should be your fixed expense. When you set that aside, then your process is automated and then eventually you start achieving that. So when your goal has a particular plan, then you know nothing is feels like impossible. So what happens is when you actually start moving towards your goal with a particular plan, then things start becoming simple. So you see the numbers growing, then you start feeling like, this process is a better process to have. And then eventually it becomes a part of you and you won't even notice when you have actually achieved your goal. So that is the beauty of this. So the task for day, like I told you, you're going to pick one goal, you're going to build a plan for it. You start this week, you start setting aside money, you set the date, you name the goal, and you see that eventually the process is automated and you start feeling good about it. And I'd like to suggest that you open a different bank account for this and you start setting aside money every single month. Then you see the magic of how money is going to work for you, and that will create magic for you. So goals don't become real because you want them. It's only when you start aligning your financial goals in a particular manner. So, what I want you to do is you eventually start uh, putting aside money for the goal which you have decided. It can be a house, car, marriage, anything. And when you want to decide how much money am I being able to set aside, you can definitely use Fintellect. You can put in your expenses, income. You'll figure out what amount I can set aside, and that amount is meant for your goals. So you can definitely use Fintellect for that. And if you want to understand how Fintellect works, there's a link in description box below. You can join our WhatsApp group and then you will understand how to join a demo session for this. And I'll personally teach you how to use Fintellect throughout the session. But this is Vedant signing off for day 13 of Understanding Money in 21 Days.